Waking up from his sleep, the man was astonished to find a bullet hole pierced through the palm of his left hand. Oddly, he felt no sensation whatsoever. Perplexed, he extended his left hand toward the sun, allowing the UV rays to pass through the bullet hole and shine on his face. This bizarre sight left him stunned, realizing that it was all too real, not a figment of his imagination. Aware of the urgency, he hurried to the nearby hospital to dress the wound on his hand. However, the nurse at the reception counter insisted that he needed to register for treatment by getting an appointment. She asked Raphael to provide detailed identification information for registration. Due to his rushed arrival, Raphael had not brought his ID with him. Desperate for a doctor to dress his wound, Raphael found himself in a tight spot. Just then, a doctor approached him from behind. It turned out that Raphael's father had undergone surgery at this hospital before, and the doctor recognized him immediately. Learning that Raphael needed treatment for his wound, the doctor instructed the nurse to give him a free appointment. Then, he escorted Raphael to the adjacent medical room. Raphael explained, pointing to the bullet hole on his left hand, that it seemed to have been struck by a bullet, yet he felt no pain at all. The doctor, astonished, admitted that this was the first time he had encountered such a situation. He asked Raphael to strip off his clothes, and indeed, there was another bullet hole on his body. He speculated that someone might have shot at him, with the bullet piercing his palm and then hitting his body. To ensure safety, the doctor instructed Raphael to sit on the instrument for examination. However, the result showed a flat line, indicating no heartbeat. This meant that Raphael was technically dead. Both of them were shocked by this revelation. Raphael suspected that there must be a problem with the instrument. After all, he was sitting right there talking to the doctor. How could he be dead? The doctor couldn't explain what was happening either. So, he decided to use chemical reagents to extract some tissue from Raphael's wound for analysis. However, Raphael refused. He couldn't accept the reality that he was considered dead. After leaving the hospital, Raphael returned home alone. He extracted the bullet from his stomach and then bandaged the wound carefully. He pondered over what had happened the previous night. Just a day ago, Raphael was walking his dog along the beach when suddenly, the dog was attracted to something and started barking furiously. Raphael went to investigate and found a murderer brutally attacking civilians. As a police officer, he intervened immediately. Feeling for the victim's pulse, Raphael realized there was none. With no other choice, he continued to pursue the assailant. The two engaged in a gunfight at a pier. Raphael utilized his agility, taking cover behind a large pillar. However, while he was cautiously searching for the perpetrator, the assailant had already crept up behind him. Seizing the gun from Raphael's hand, the assailant shot and killed him. Despite Raphael's attempt to block with his left hand, he was ultimately struck by the bullet. The assailant then threw him into the sea, leading to the scene at the beginning. When Raphael woke up again, he found himself transformed into one of the undead. Despite the bullet hole in his palm, he felt no pain. After tending to his wound, he returned to the scene of the crime from the previous night. By this time, other officers had arrived, conducting a thorough investigation of the area. However, they found no traces of any deceased individuals at the scene. Yet, Raphael had clearly reported the murder the previous night. The officers asked him to describe the scene again. Raphael explained that a middle-aged man, around 40 years old, had been murdered by strangulation. However, since the perpetrator wore a mask, he couldn't identify their face. Then, extending his left hand, Raphael mentioned that he had been fatally shot while apprehending the suspect, losing his gun in the process. Although Raphael spoke the truth, his colleagues didn't believe him at all. How could a dead person be standing here? They suspected it was all just a hallucination. As for the missing firearm, they decided not to pursue it. Feeling disbelieved by his colleagues, Raphael resolved to investigate the case on his own. When nobody was watching, he discreetly hid the bullet in the crevice of a wooden plank. Returning home at night, his young daughter came to the living room wanting to hug Raphael. Strangely, as soon as she touched him, she felt a chilling coldness emanating from his body. She tried to pull away, but Raphael held on to her tightly. Suddenly, his eyes filled with black blood vessels. His daughter screamed for him to let go. When Raphael regained consciousness, he had no memory of what had just happened. Hastily, he released his daughter. Afterward, Raphael dialed the doctor's number he had during the day. He felt like there was something wrong with his body. When he hugged his daughter earlier, he suddenly felt an irresistible urge surge through him, and then he couldn't remember what happened next. Raphael hoped the doctor could help him, but the doctor believed he was now a dead man. Regular medical techniques probably wouldn't work for him. So, the doctor took Raphael to his basement, equipped with state-of-the-art medical facilities for treating patients and conducting medical research. The doctor wanted to study Raphael like a lab rat to uncover the secrets within him. Initially hesitant, Raphael thought about his wife and daughter at home, unaware of his condition. Thus, he agreed to cooperate with the doctor's research. Just then, Raphael received a call from the police station. They had just busted a human trafficking case at a nearby port, and one of the fugitives had a connection to Raphael. Colleagues suspected that the fugitive might seek revenge on those around him. When Raphael arrived at the rendezvous point, the fugitive indeed sought revenge. He plunged a dagger straight into Raphael's back. But in the next moment, Raphael astonishingly pulled the knife out himself, startling the fugitive. Before the fugitive could react, Raphael seemed to undergo a mutation, his eyes filled with black veins. The fugitive tried to flee, but Raphael pinned him against the wall and then, bizarrely, bit off a chunk of flesh from the fugitive's arm. Later, Raphael passed out. When he woke up again, he couldn't remember what had happened. The next day, Raphael went back to the beach where he had previously awakened, contemplating suicide to end it all. Now, he saw himself no different from a zombie. He removed the bandage from his hand to inspect the wound once more, only to find the bullet hole that had pierced his palm had inexplicably healed.